My name is Tyler Smith. I'm a 23-year-old Canadian. I was born and raised in Richmond Hill. You know, growing up, I just liked my traditional white values like Jesus, McDonald's, Palantir, Crumble Cookie, Donald Trump, Israel, you know, the typical ones. Here's a beautiful photo of my family.
This is you?
Yeah, of course. Why don't you think it's me?
Sorry?
Why don't you think it's me?
These are your parents?
Of course they're my fucking parents!
As a Persian man who makes rap music, I thought it would be interesting if I took a look as to how my people, and brown people in general, interact with black art, and how that leads to some of my people LARPing as if they were black themselves, without ever actually addressing any of the real struggles, trials, and tribulations that come with being a black person. This video, for my standards, blew up. It's here for you to watch right now. So thank you if you're gonna go check that out. And thank you if you did check that out already and you're coming from that video. While browsing the comments of that last video, I came across a pattern of people disagreeing with me. This took me by surprise because I'm never wrong. What do you mean, bro? Brown people want to be white. There are definitely way more brown men who think they're white. Imagine if you spray painted your room and everything in it white and used white ink to write on white paper. Try it. Use white ink and write on white paper and see how it looks. Yeah, I don't know what that one means, but I'm sure you found a common pattern amongst the last ones about how a lot of brown men actually want to be white. And although what they're talking about is talking about a different subsect of the brown diaspora and even the black diaspora, they are right. There is a large chunk of people of color who are trying to get by being as close to whiteness as possible. But why though? That's what I wanted to talk about in this video. And to do that, I guess the number one question I got to answer is what? Literally, it means that your skin's white. But is this person white? They're black. Is this person white? No, they're 50-50. Is this person white? I honestly don't know. They could be anything. From this point on, and generally when people talk about whiteness, the term is less literal and more sociological. Whiteness is a status that comes from a social and historic construct rather than simply a biological skin color. It refers to a set of normative, cultural, and structural privileges. Whiteness also establishes the class of people who are seen as the default or normal in society while othering non-white groups. The concept of whiteness is a bit more complex than just having white skin. Those examples that I provided earlier, sans Ariana Grande, are white, but they're technically not white because of the different culture and structure that they grew up in. Logic having a all-black dad, being raised in the projects, and Ice Spice having her Latina roots. Where did this concept of whiteness come from? Well, white people have been the rulers of the modern world for the last couple hundred of years. Through colonization and imperialism, they have come out as the quote-unquote winners, the people on top of the food chain. Whiteness is seen with affluence, with richness, with success, and with opulence. But all this wealth and opulence has come at the expense of all these countries in the global south that have been exploited by these colonial and imperial powers. Europe has decimated pretty much all of Africa and extracted all of its resources, and they've taken them as their own. And America and a country with a blue and white flag have pretty much decimated all of the Middle East for its natural resources. I mean, think about it. Belgium chocolate, there's not one cacao seed that's been grown in Belgium. Israel's #1 exports is diamonds. They have not one diamond mine in all of Israel. The US has the most oil in the modern world, but they're not even close to having the world's most natural oil reserves. Where do they all get these things from? These countries have these luxuries and these affluent things at such a high volume and capacity that it doesn't just come from being good traders, it comes from stealing and looting and pillaging the countries that have these natural resources. So what does it mean when we live in a world where white people are on top? Where whiteness is supreme? Well, there's white supremacy. And with white supremacy comes a lot of myths that get established just because white people are on top. Conclusions get made about whiteness and white people's culture to help explain why the white group is so ahead of every other demographic of human being. The inverse of the equation of white people being on top is that every single other demographic is fighting for that number 2 spot, and they're all below whiteness. This fight in trying to get in a better placement that takes place amongst everyone in the bottom ringer of the Peter Griffin meme comes in many ways. Sometimes it's physical. A lot of countries in Asia promote skin bleaching cream to physically get closer to being white. I mean, I'm sure you were on YouTube 10 years ago where these ads in Asia were getting put onto YouTube and people had a candid look as to how colorist the Eastern world is and how much they don't want to be darker. Because the darker you are, the farther away you are from whiteness. But this rat race to get us close to whiteness also plays a deeper role in the subconscious of many colored people. When you look at the state of the world and you see these white countries flourish and prosper with bountiful amounts of wealth, while your home country is stuck in ruin as it suffered political and economic hardship, people are living in huts and tents. They're eating food in really unsanitary conditions where you don't even know what's in it. A lot of the time, though, a lot of colored people don't make the connection that their countries are the way they are because of the exploitation that Europe and the West in general has done to these countries. This can be because of clever propaganda and or people are just simply uneducated. No, instead, a lot of people internalize the issues that their countries are facing as a failure of them as a culture and a society. The weakness doesn't come from exploitation, it just becomes because our people are inferior. Africa's not developed because they can't get past chasing lions and building mud huts. The Middle East is bombed to oblivion because the Muslim terrorists just can't get over each other. All these things can infect the mind of a colored person and make them spiral and make them want to disassociate from their culture. I mean, the media that we consume here for the longest time wasn't helping. It was actually aiding in this stereotyping. I mentioned that in my first video. Again, go check it out if you want to. But yeah, like there would be racist stereotypes and tropes that would be placed unfairly onto colored people that would further make a colored person want to disassociate from their culture. Not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's what would happen. So what do you do given the immense negative stereotyping colored people are facing? If you grow up not educated and you think that, oh my God, I'm seeing all this horrible stuff come from back home, it hurts me, it hurts to see, I want better for myself than this, what do I do? Maybe whiteness is the answer.
You dirty brown monkey! Monkey, you're so brown! You're so brown! I can fix this, I can fix it. Yes, 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 yes. Oh yes, I'm so pretty, I'm so pretty. Can I speak to your manager? Oh yes, oh yeah, oh these immigrants gotta get out of our country. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes. No, Tim Hortons is my favorite Indian restaurant. Perfect. Save me from these woke liberals, Donald Trump. I love you, Donald. I love you. I love you, Donald.
What does this country come to? Is the property value going down?
Yeah, man, like this immigration thing is a huge problem. Like they're the reason I can't buy a house. Listen, it's not that big of a deal that I said it. You people say it all the time in rap music. All right, come on, I can't say it when I'm listening to the music? Okay, come on, buddy, fucking libtard. I love you, Ben Gavir. I send $100 on my check every week to Israel. Ben Gavir, save us. See, I can't mess with new movies. They always woke, liberal, DEI, like, why did they make Hermione black? Imagine if they made Black Panther Ryan Gosling. Yeah, your people wouldn't like that. You know what, Mickey? I don't tell you this that often, but one of the good ones, you know that? Like your people are like rowdy sometimes, like ghetto, they don't wear their pants right, but like, no, you got it, man, you got it. I think I see a big future for you, like rapper. fuck? It's just different. Like mine's straight. Like I've never touched it before.
So, like I said, because of the state of the world and how there's been just so much propaganda regarding Western countries and their success and the inability for all the other countries in the world and all the people in the world to grow, a lot of colored people don't want to associate themselves with their own culture, but they'd much rather default to the Western default setting, that is whiteness. But there's a problem. You're not white. So what do you do? Well, there's degrees to this. You can be an Uncle Tom, which if you don't know is a stereotype. It's mainly for black people, but I've seen it be used for other demographics of people who are very subservient to white people, oftentimes betraying their own racial group for white admiration. Think of Stefan from the Django Unchained. This subservience comes in equal parts fear and admiration for white people. Now, the house slave is kind of a dated archetype, but if you want like a more present day example of this, think of like an Indian middle school teacher who talks harshly to the brown and black kids and treats the white kids as if they were like bundles of joy. This isn't just like some made up hypothetical scenario either. I live next to one of the highest South Asian diasporas in all of Canada, which is Brampton, and I have a couple of black friends who grew up in Brampton. Each of them have their own story about how South Asian staff or teachers or whatever would unfairly target them and racially stereotype them. Now, that's one tier of just wanting validation from white people, but the step above that is wanting to LARP as a white person yourself. Now, if you're white and you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, wait, I fall on the progressive end of the spectrum. This doesn't reflect me at all. I'd completely agree with you. This version of whiteness that these colored people have in their head is a very like flanderized, hyperbolized perception of whiteness that comes from the most extreme sectors online. And so it's not even true whiteness, quote unquote. It's the radicalized slop that these people are digesting online, thinking that that's really what whiteness is. Now, this is the more common approach that I see a lot of colored people do, but I think this is as, if not more crazy than putting bleach on your skin to make it whiter, because you're not just changing your exterior, you're trying to completely change who you are at your core. Take a look online. You'll notice how so many people who are spouting conservative, white supremacist talking points are brown people. I'll never forget, man, even in my own family, I had a family member who came to this country less than a decade ago. Bro acclimated to the society, and within a year, he was saying, oh my God, they gotta stop letting these brown people into our country. Like, bro, did the mirror factory break or something? It's a really strange phenomenon that when you start seeing, you can't unsee, where brown people are trying to be white. My family loves this brand Ahmed Tea that just produces really tasty tea bags. It's called Ahmed Tea. Why is the cover of the box, let me go get this actually. Why is it called Ahmed Tea London with a photo of Britain on the front? This shit was made in the UAE, bro. Pink salt is from Pakistan, but we call it Himalayan salt because, oh, we don't want association with stinky brown people. Man, to go on a personal tangent, I'm Persian, and with what's been going on back home in the last couple of days, it's really opened my eyes up to how many people in my own community are like this. You can probably find a video explaining everything in detail. My personal opinion is that whatever governing body we're talking about on either side of the spectrum, I feel like they're both using people as cannon fodder. And as someone who's been in Iran, who's walked by these sidewalks that were flung in the air with missiles, and who's seen kids who look like the ones who got pummeled by rubble, I care for civilians. And also, I don't like the idea of another country coming in to correct systemic wrongdoing, because I've opened a history book and I've seen that America, every single time they've said they're going to do that, they've just came in, extracted the national resources, and left a power vacuum in the country, leaving places like Iraq decimated, making Libya into a slave state. It's a very complex issue, right? But again, it's been frankly so eye-opening to see how many Persians have been radicalized because of this in the completely wrong way. And it's really disheartening seeing so many people in the Persian diaspora taking the absolute complete wrong direction on this issue. I know people who have mothers who are practicing Muslims. I'm talking about praying 5 times a day, posting death to all Muslims on their Instagram story. There were Persians dancing in front of the Israeli embassy when Israel bombed a girls' school. I get stuck in this paralysis almost watching back home get decimated, and there's fucking people out there celebrating in the streets. Oh yes, Donald Trump, save me, Donald Trump. There's been campaigns online about how, oh, Persians aren't even Muslim. Oh, Reza Shah needs to come back and establish a civil white adjacent lifestyle for Persians because that's what we really want. Yeah, bro. What we really want is civilians to fucking die constantly, bro. Iran's gonna be free any day now. Yeah, for sure, buddy. If I have to see another photo of a Persian in a MAGA hat or Donald Trump AI'd in Tehran, I'm going to shoot someone. I confront these Persians too, and I tell them basic history about how our neighbors, Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, they've all had the same thing happen to them with the United States, and they're all worse off for it. And you know what they say? Oh, but those are Arabs. We're different. We're different. It's so disheartening to see Persian people become weirdly Islamophobic out of nowhere and put Arabs beneath them. Again, it's because they're trying to get up in this rat race of getting the second place in terms of being close to whiteness. It's so disappointing and upsetting to see. And I think it speaks to a bigger problem overall. Hey, if you're liking this video so far, please consider liking, subscribing, turning on notifications, and following me on all my socials at Ali Has a Cool Username. It would mean a lot. Thank you very much. And now back to the video. If I told you this shirt was made in India, what would you initially think? It's okay. We can be honest here. You would probably think it's poor quality, that it was made from like cheap materials, a child made it. If I said it was made in somewhere like France or Italy or Spain, you would be like, oh my God, it was probably really expensive. I know like their textiles are the best. What if I told you this wasn't always the case? And look, you're not wrong for thinking these. These are things that we've like been thinking for hundreds of years now. It's been installed in all of us. But what if I told you that it wasn't always like this? See, for 5,000 years, Indian culture had spent so much time developing and enhancing their textile industry. And by the time we got to like the 1700s, the 1600s, they had some of the best textiles on earth. When Britain came and colonized them and started extracting the resources, and Britain started importing a lot of Indian fabrics, they were so high quality that a lot of textile houses in Britain had to shut down because business got that bad. So what did Britain do? They used a bunch of import bans. They aggressively price fixed Indian textiles. They used coercive labor tactics. So between the 1700s and 1850s, this 5,000-year-old artisanal industry in India systematically collapsed and got decimated. And then England had a textile boom. It would be hard for a layman today to imagine India having something over England, because you look at like the generic stereotypical photo of an Indian civilian in like showering in a pond or a lake, and you think of like someone from Britain and they're so high and noble and high mighty, right? But they don't put together that the reason that they think of these two things, and that the reason that they can't think of India ever being something great, isn't because India never was that. It was because there was an abuser who pillaged and stole a lot and basically abused another country into submission. I think a reason as to why a lot of colored people default to whiteness is because the imperial project succeeded in brainwashing so many people to thinking that their countries of origin are shitholes and that they have nothing of merit, and that all these white countries have so much wealth and opulence because they did it right. They were like the predominant better culture. And also that these other countries that aren't white didn't succeed because of their own merit. And two, I think a lot of people are actually aware of these things that I'm bringing up, and they're aware that the imperial project and slavery and colonization led to a lot of devastating things, a lot of things that are hard to digest, hard to process, hard to even hear, about how your people were brought over from their home country to another and put in boats as if they were anchovies, how black women were put into zoos because their curvaceous bodies were just so foreign to these white people. These things are dehumanizing, and they don't install a lot of confidence in people. People can't look at their lineage and have their head up high because of all the atrocities and abuse that their culture and their people have been put through. All these atrocities breed insecurity in the colored diaspora of the world. And I think on a large scale, that leads to people resenting their culture in a way, because the history is so sad and it carries with it a lot of trauma, and that stress burdens a lot of people. Because to acknowledge it is to acknowledge the amount of loss and suffering your people have had, because your people did lose a lot. So instead of addressing that, a lot of people will default into the easier option of trying to appease the winning team and try to win favor with them. But this is, again, stupid, because no matter how much you try to quote unquote be white, whether it be physical or spiritually, they won't let you in. And all the time you spend to try to appeal to white people, and all the time you spend believing their lies about your people and your countries, you can spend uplifting your own communities and building up your own people and your own culture. So come on, brown boy.
My name is Tyler Smith. I'm a 23-year-old Canadian. I was born and raised in Richmond Hill. You know, growing up, I just liked my traditional white values.